I am the real heiress, and by the time I was found, I had already married and had children. The fake heiress mocked me. It's really pitiful to be abducted. Instead of focusing on your studies, you went and had kids. Later, the heir of B City was photographed taking the child to the amusement park. She immediately posted online, "A man taking care of kids is so handsome. Thanks, hubby." The fake heiress's social media's comments area was flooded with a wave of fans. They all envied her for marrying into a wealthy family. The heir of B City and his son exchanged glances. The heir said, "Honey, who is her husband? How can you stand this?" My dear son said, "Mom, give Dad a proper title. I had just returned from abroad when the Davis family, real estate tycoons, found me, claiming I was their long-lost heiress. To be honest, if this had happened 10 years ago, I would have screamed with excitement. Back then, I used to fantasize about my parents compensating me with a huge sum of money, sending me to a prestigious school, and setting me on the path to the pinnacle of life. But now I just ask, my bank balance is only 3 digits. How much are you planning to scam me for? If I hang up directly, would the person on the other end get beaten? Now that I've grown into a wise and mature perfect woman, I should consider others' feelings." Hearing silence on the other end, I softly suggested, "Scamming isn't easy. How about I chat with you for $2? The phone call ended, and I didn't think much of it, but soon, a luxury car pulled up outside the hotel where I was staying, and someone knocked on my door. The visitor claimed to be my parents, saying I had been abducted and left to wander in my early years. Now, seeing me pitiful and without money to spend, they decided to take me back home. After hearing both of them speak, my first thought was, the water has boiled dry. And now you remember to cook the meal. Where were you all those years ago, when I was in high school working 5 jobs and digging through trash cans for food? Where were they?" But considering they've been searching for me for many years, I decided to go back with them and see. Perhaps because I've been through too much, my heart has grown as cold as the fish slaughtered at our T-Mart for 20 years, from the moment I learned the truth, to completing the DNA test with them. And then going home with them, I remained remarkably calm throughout. My newly discovered biological mother initially had tears welling up in her eyes. Seeing me so indifferent, she reined in her emotions and began introducing me to the family members during the car ride. When mentioning that there was also a younger sister at home, their eyes seemed to avoid direct contact. "Did you have another daughter later?" "No, not exactly." From their vague explanations, I managed to grasp the gist of it. Back then, the family's nanny and Mrs. Davis were pregnant at the same time. After giving birth at the hospital, the nanny switched the babies. I was sold to someone else by the nanny, while her daughter took my place. It wasn't until many years later, when they discovered the blood type of the fake heiress didn't match, that they learned the truth and began searching for me everywhere. Although this whole incident was the nanny's fault, the children shouldn't bear the blame, especially Caroline, who we've watched grow up. We've developed feelings for her after all. We still want to recognize her as our daughter. Mrs. Davis cautiously asked me if I could accept it and whether I was willing to live peacefully with Caroline. I let out an, raising my hand to show the ring on my ring finger. "I never said I wanted to acknowledge you as my parents, and besides, I'm already married. I've had my own family for a long time." Hearing this, my parents were both shocked and about to speak when the car stopped in front of the Davis family's gate. Caroline had been waiting at the door and rushed over happily the moment Mrs. Davis got out of the car, hugging her tightly. "Mommy, I missed you so much. Is this my sister?" Caroline gave me a once-over, her gaze tinged with a hint of disdain. As we entered, she tossed 2 shoe covers at me. "Just had the floors polished. Please wear shoe covers." Mrs. Davis looked at Caroline, then at me, and quickly fetched a new pair of slippers for me to change into. At the dinner table, Mrs. Davis stared at me, tears welling up in her eyes again. "After all these years, my daughter has finally come home." Caroline immediately handed her a tissue and comforted her softly. "Mom, it's all that nanny's fault. If it weren't for her, you wouldn't have been separated from your sister for so many years. If it weren't for her, you wouldn't have lived such a wealthy life all these years either." I added silently in my heart, but ultimately didn't say it out loud, just kept my head down and ate. Mrs. Davis then asked me about my marriage. "When did you get married? How is your husband?" "Not bad, quite handsome. I got married long ago. My son is already 4 years old." Everyone in the restaurant froze, and Mrs. Davis trembled, unable to speak for a long moment. Caroline's gaze at me grew even more disdainful. "How pitiful, being kidnapped. instead of focusing on your studies. You went and had a child, it's all because of your mom. I couldn't help but snap back. Besides, I ranked in the top 100 of the province in the college entrance exam and got into a top university. How can that be called not studying hard? Caroline looked at Mrs. Davis with grievance, tears welling up in her eyes instantly. I just feel sorry for my sister. Marrying a man who earns a few thousand a month would ruin her life. If outsiders found out, who knows how they'd mock our family. Mrs. Davis quickly wiped away her tears and looked at me with exasperation. Caroline is only thinking of you. You're now the young lady of the Davis family. How can you be with a man who earns 3,000 a month, and with a child no less? You should get a divorce. I looked up at her in surprise. She didn't even ask if I liked my husband before forcing me to get a divorce. Besides, she doesn't even know who my husband is. Seeing no point in further discussion, I simply took out my phone and dialed my husband's number. It only rang twice before he picked up. Hey baby, I'm in a meeting right now. What's up? The man's voice was deep, hoarse, and magnetic, making Caroline unconsciously sit up straighter and look up at him a few more times. Oh, nothing much. I cleared my throat and spoke softly. I just found my biological parents, and they're asking me to divorce you. Who? A sharp scream erupted from the other end of the phone. They'd rather tear down 10 temples than break up a marriage. Haven't they heard that saying? Damn it, who dares ruin my love? I swear I'll confront them face to face. The man's voice was too loud, hurting my ears, so I casually soothed him with a few words before hanging up, shrugging helplessly at the others. He doesn't agree. It was clear this household wasn't very welcoming to me. After finishing the meal, I made an excuse to leave. Mrs. Davis saw me to the door, still whispering a warning to me. He sounds like he has violent tendencies and an unstable temper. Maybe you should just get a divorce. No sooner had the words been spoken than Caroline's gloating voice chimed in. Yeah, he doesn't earn much, has a bad temper, and might even be abusive. Sister, why put yourself through this? My gaze drifted past Mrs. Davis, landing on Caroline, who was sitting on the sofa admiring her manicure. I couldn't help but chuckle. Fine, I'll get a divorce and go live with my parents. You can give me your room as an apology for your mom taking me away back then. Caroline's expression instantly turned icy as she glared at me, gritting her teeth. She's not my mom. I couldn't be bothered to respond and turned to leave, refusing Mrs. Davis's offer to have the driver take me home. This was a villa district, hard to hail a taxi, with no subway or buses, and far from the city center, but I had barely walked for 10 minutes when a Rolls-Royce sped toward me and stopped right in front of me. The moment the rear door opened, a tiny figure leaped out and clung tightly to my leg. Mommy, I missed you. I glanced into the car and saw a man in a well-tailored suit, exuding an extraordinary aura, still seated inside. The man just frowned slightly, looking at me with aggrieved eyes. Who encouraged you to divorce me? I want to confront her. As soon as I got in the car, Frank immediately clung to me, hugging me so tightly I could barely breathe. You've been gone too long this time. I missed you so much. He clung to me tightly, burying his head in the crook of my neck, while our son, unable to squeeze in, could only look at us with a pout. On the way back, both father and son kept complaining to me non-stop, every night. Our son won't sleep properly. It takes forever to get him settled. After you left, Dad wore a stern face every day. We didn't even need to turn on the air conditioner at home. I was sandwiched between the father and son, afraid to speak up for either one. After many years of marriage with Frank, my only feeling is that he's become increasingly clingy. We met in our freshman year and quickly fell in love. We registered our marriage as soon as we reached the legal age, and later had a child. I once thought my son was the only blood-related person I had in this world, until now, when I was found by the Davis family. How did the Davis family treat you? Frank asked me. Did they seem remorseful toward you, transfer you a large sum of money, and promise to make it up to you in the future? I recalled the scene from earlier and spoke honestly. They want me to divorce you. Hearing this, Frank's expression instantly turned cold, and he only managed to utter 2 words, dream on. In the evening, while browsing the internet with Frank's phone, I came across Caroline's latest post. In the photo, Caroline was holding hands with the Davis couple, all 3 smiling faintly at the camera, with a pile of gifts spread out on the table in front of them. Mom and Dad say I'll always be their baby. Recently, rumors circulated online that Caroline isn't biologically related to the Davis family, sparking netizens' jokes about real versus fake heiress tropes coming to life today. Caroline fired back. She has maintained a good reputation online, though working as a model with mediocre runway skills and frequently criticized professional abilities. Her public image remains positive, but the irresistible charm of her rich girl persona keeps attracting fans, especially with her constant online displays of parental doting. It makes many young admirers vow to live exactly like her. Every time I see these comments, I can't help but sneer, live like her, really? That was when hell truly stood empty, with all its devils roaming the earth. I had just finished scrolling through Caroline's past posts and was about to log out when suddenly, a private message popped up. Mr. Frank, you've been browsing my profile for so long, why not come say hello? Only then did I realize that moments earlier, I had accidentally slipped and liked Caroline's post using Frank's account. This is truly a huge misunderstanding. My own phone ran out of battery. So I was just killing time with Frank's phone. Mr. Frank, do you still remember me? We met last time at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the new company of CF Group. Of course I remember, the last time the two were photographed by the media. They were called a match made in heaven, especially since Caroline even added a shy emoji under the post, which made everyone's imaginations run wild. When Frank found out about this, he was so angry that he hid under the covers at night, shedding little tears, and held my hand while venting about how suffocating it had been to keep his marriage a secret for years. He frequently appeared on the covers of various financial and business magazines, and because of his youth and striking looks, he was often mentioned by the media. I don't like being too high profile, so I didn't inform many people when we got married. Because of this, Frank moped around the house for a long time. I know. I'm the secret lover who can't be seen in the light, the unacknowledged third party, the eternal plan B. Even now that I have a title, I can only be hidden at home. What else can I say? I can only carefully guard this relationship. Every time he thinks about this, Frank gets upset for a long time, and then takes it out on me at night. It wasn't until the media fabricated rumors about him and Caroline that I finally agreed to let Frank send me the censored marriage certificate photo, announcing my married status. To this day, that photo remains the background on Frank's profile. Caroline must know about this, right? I was staring blankly at the message Caroline sent when someone abruptly snatched my phone away the next second. Stop looking, look at me instead. Frank had just stepped out of the shower, his body still damp with steam, as he wrapped his bare arms around me from behind. After seeing who sent the message, the man clicked his tongue in annoyance. Crazy woman. Why can't she just leave me alone? He ignored it and simply tossed his phone aside, then leaned in again, his hands wandering around my waist. Honey, I miss you. After finishing the project abroad, I finally had a few days of vacation. Under my son's adorable pleading, I agreed to take him to his tutoring class. The mall was conveniently located right below his classroom. After leaving my son with the teacher, I wandered around the mall. I used Frank's phone to like the post. And even though I quickly unliked it, someone still noticed. Someone commented about Caroline and Frank's relationship in the comments section, to which Caroline only replied with an ambiguous emoji. Caroline, just tell us, when exactly did you meet Mr. Frank? Come on. Just share it with us. Hearing Caroline's name, I followed the sound and saw her being surrounded by several women dressed in designer brands as they entered a luxury store. Oh, Frank prefers to keep a low profile, so I can't say too much. Caroline flashed a sweet smile, lifting her chin slightly with a hint of pride. I've seen people claim lost items before, but claiming to be someone else's wife is a first for me. As I followed Caroline into the luxury store, a sales assistant approached, but I stopped them. Caroline didn't notice me, still basking in the flattery of others. Caroline, whatever you want to buy today is on me. Could you help me get an introduction to Mr. Davis for my family's collaboration? Caroline, I'll buy you that jewelry you like later. I'll also need your help with something for my family. Caroline agreed to everything one by one, her head practically held high with pride. Don't worry, I understand. Frank treats me very well. He agrees to whatever I want. I couldn't help but burst out laughing, and only then did Caroline notice me. A flicker of surprise flashed in her eyes, but it quickly turned to disdain. What are you doing here? Don't the salespeople check who they let in? Is this a place you can afford? As if afraid I didn't understand, she cleared her throat and explained to me. A single belt here costs 3 months of your husband's salary. What are you doing here? Aren't you afraid of dirtying their floor? The women following Caroline all wore mocking expressions, while the sales assistant beside them was stunned and quickly brought over a glass of water. Miss Sarah, What would you like to see today? Before I could speak, Caroline had already jumped in. She can't afford any of this. She's just here to look. Caroline raised her voice, making sure everyone in the store could hear. All eyes turned to me, scrutinizing me from head to toe. The sales assistant quickly stepped forward, quietly urging Caroline to lower her voice. Caroline immediately flared up. I came in to shop. What right do you have to criticize me? Besides, shouldn't you be kicking this woman out? She's lowering the tone of your brand. I spoke softly, coming to the sales assistant's rescue. What's the rush? I came in just to see what you were planning to buy. Hearing this, Caroline lifted her chin haughtily. Any one of my bags costs more than your husband makes in a year. She strode over to the sales assistant and ordered imperiously. Didn't you just get a rare leather bag in stock? Bring it out for me to see. I'm sorry, it hasn't arrived yet. Would you like to look at something else for now? Caroline wasn't surprised and asked the salesperson to show her other options. I directly stopped another salesperson. Your store manager messaged me saying the exotic leather one has arrived. Can I see it now? Of course, Miss Sarah. Would you like to rest in the lounge for a while? We've prepared your favorite floral tea. As the salesperson was about to lead me to the lounge, Caroline stopped them. Why did you say it wasn't available when I asked to buy it, but it's available when she asks? Can she even afford these things? Miss Sarah is a VIP in our store and has priority purchasing rights. This is the second time you've been rude to our customers. If this happens again, we'll have to call security. Caroline widened her eyes and stared at me. I met her gaze and gently patted her shoulder. Not even a VIP. Who's the one making a scene here? I followed the sales assistant away, hearing the sound of Caroline stomping her feet in anger behind me. That evening, I received a call from Mrs. Davis. Since the day we exchanged phone numbers, I hadn't received any calls or messages. Her timing couldn't have been worse. Frank had just managed to put our son to sleep and came back to hold me, setting my body ablaze with his touch. Just as his lips brushed against the side of my ear, Mrs. Davis's call came through. TSK, who the hell calls at this hour? Family in ruins or what? He nibbled my ear in displeasure, but I pushed him away and answered the call. Sarah, I heard you had a fight with Caroline today. What? Calling to lecture me? No. I just wanted to ask what your husband does. Have you thought about what I mentioned last time? It's not about persuading me to get a divorce, is it? My husband works in real estate. Oh, just a real estate agent. That probably only covers basic living expenses, especially since you have a child. Frank looked up in confusion and pointed at himself. Is she talking about me? I suppressed a laugh and replied to the phone call. Pretty much, after all. They always have to handle sales after development is complete. Today Caroline came home and told me that you bought a bag at a luxury store. She said, "Are you being kept by someone outside?" This time, even I was stunned. Can't I earn my own money and buy my own bag? Caroline, listen to me. Get a divorce. Cut off all those improper relationships, and come back home. If this gets out, what will people think of our family? The person on the phone kept rambling on, spouting high-sounding words. Hang up already, Frank urged me while bending down, his lips brushing against the scar on my abdomen. This scar was from high school. A hideous wound that took 18 stitches. Back then, I was too poor to afford a decent hospital, so the stitches were done poorly, leaving an ugly scar that still aches faintly on rainy days. I can't tell if it's a lingering effect or just psychological trauma. Frank gently traced the scar with his fingers, then lowered his head to kiss it again, sending shivers down my spine. Before Mrs. Davis could finish her sentence, I had already hung up the phone. The atmosphere in the bedroom instantly turned ambiguous. I had just turned off the light when I suddenly sensed something unusual. A teardrop fell on the parched skin. Frank reached out to wipe away the tear, his fingernail brushing over that scar. Did it hurt back then? In the darkness, my heightened senses allowed me to hear the tremor in his voice. Every time Frank sees this scar, he can't help but touch it, his eyes filled with heartache. If only I had appeared sooner, I could have protected you. I stood up and gently embraced him, feeling his heartbeat in his arms, until the sound of our heartbeats gradually synchronized, especially clear in the darkness of the night. It's okay, it's not too late. Mrs. Davis was very displeased with me for hanging up on her and sent me a long, rambling message. I couldn't even be bothered to read it and dragged it straight into the trash. The holiday ended in just a few days, and I had to return to the law firm to continue my miserable grind as a wage slave. On the first day back at work, I fired my assistant Kevin. I've warned you several times already. be more serious at work. In our line of work, we must be meticulous, yet, you managed to mix up crucial evidence. I had to stay abroad for a month just to clean up your mess. I was so sick of eating dry bread every single day. Every time we video call home, it's always the scene of father and son hugging each other with little pearls of tears. No, Attorney Sarah, let me explain. Kevin still wanted to argue, but I cut him off directly. Every day at work, you're either bragging or chatting with your girlfriend. I'm too busy to play house with you. When I was hiring an assistant, Kevin wasn't actually my first choice. He just kept begging me persistently, saying how tough his life was, being alone in the big city without parents to rely on. Seeing that his situation was similar to mine back in the day, I decided to give him a chance, but after joining, his work performance turned out to be shockingly poor, causing problems every single day. I've reminded him several times, but he didn't take it seriously and even made outrageous remarks in the break room, among all the partners at our law firm. Guess why I specifically chose to interview for Sarah's assistant position? Because she's the only woman. Women are the easiest to talk to. Just play the victim a little, and she'll believe me. He had no idea I heard every word clearly at the door. Who else would I fire if not him? HR will handle the follow-up procedures with you today. Starting tomorrow, you don't need to come in anymore. I waved my hand to dismiss Kevin, but who knew this guy would be so persistent? After work, he even blocked me at the company entrance, refusing to let me leave. Lawyer Sarah, I beg you, I promise to work hard from now on. Please give me another chance. I didn't want to engage and was about to call security when I suddenly noticed someone watching me from a distance. I looked up and met her gaze, inwardly groaning at my bad luck. The world is truly small. Of all people to run into, it had to be Caroline. How unlucky can I get? Please, give me one more chance. I promise I'll listen to you this time. To my shock, Kevin actually dropped to his knees in front of me. Now even other passers-by were frequently glancing over, and Caroline was smiling meaningfully not far away. What's going on here? A big breakup scene. Could it be that this guy cheated and is begging for forgiveness? Damn, I knew Caroline's expression looked strange. My patience worn thin. I grabbed Kevin by the sleeve and threatened him. If you harass me again, don't blame me for putting you on the industry blacklist. You won't find a job in this city anymore. Kevin was so startled that he immediately stood up, apologized, and ran away as fast as he could. I looked up, but Caroline had already vanished without a trace. That evening, I received another lengthy message from Mrs. Davis. I skimmed through it briefly. The gist was that Caroline happened to witness my husband kneeling and begging me, and she hoped I would divorce him as soon as possible. Whether this matter is his fault or not, but kneeling on the ground is definitely being filmed. If you were caught on camera, it would be so embarrassing, and mom and dad would be humiliated along with you. I couldn't help but sneer at the message and replied directly, have I ever publicly acknowledged you as my parents? Without waiting for a response, I immediately blocked Mrs. Davis. They really know how to flatter themselves, rushing to play parents to others. I ignored it and checked the time. Frank still hadn't returned. He was on leave today and took his son to the amusement park. I was scrolling through trending topics on the couch when I suddenly came across something about him. Frank takes the kids to the amusement park. Only a few back view photos were captured, and in the sole side shot, the son's face was blurred. I silently praised the media for knowing their boundaries. But just as I was about to check the next trending topic, I noticed Caroline Yuan had actually commented on this one. Men look so handsome when they take care of kids. Thanks, hubby. A few years ago, before Frank's marriage was publicly announced, some netizens jokingly referred to him as a public sweetheart. Many people playfully called him hubby or similar terms in his comments section. But since he got married, such comments have significantly decreased. At most, you'll see netizens making playful memes. Look at my ex-husband. Though he's married now, he was once the man I loved the most. So wealthy it's almost obscene. Ex-husband, here to see you again. How have you been lately? Coincidentally, Caroline and Frank were rumored to be involved, so her words instantly stirred up a frenzy among the gossip-loving crowd. So is this the real wife making an appearance? Are they really a perfect match? Duh. Who would falsely claim someone as their husband or compete to be the other woman? I scrolled down through the comments, seeing nothing but wishes for the couple to last forever. Right at that moment, the sound of a car pulling up came from outside the door. Soon, the door swung open, and Frank stormed home angrily. This is outrageous. It's downright slander. It seems Frank has also seen the news. Without even changing his shoes, he rushed straight to me. Honey, how can you tolerate this? Let me tear her mouth apart. The son finally managed to run into the house, still out of breath, and quickly spoke up. Come on, Mom, just give Dad a fair chance. Needless to say, it was obvious who had taught the son these words. He had little patience for others. That very night, he contacted the company's legal team, filed a lawsuit, and also posted a clarification on social media. Don't you know I'm a married man? I've tolerated you buying trending topics every day to ride on my popularity. But now you're outright impersonating me. Enough talk. See you in court. Frank's legal team is top tier in the industry. A single cease and desist letter sent the Davis family into complete disarray. The next day, as soon as I entered the law firm, I heard that Mrs. Davis had brought Caroline with her. After all, the law firm I work for is also one of the best in the business. It's no surprise they came to us. But the colleagues who were supposed to meet them had barely stepped in before they came out looking utterly defeated. Soon after, the new assistant told me that Caroline and her group wanted to entrust the matter to me. I could hear the voices of the mother and daughter talking outside the office. James told me, this is the youngest partner, quite famous in the industry. So what if she's famous? She's just someone who gets paid to do a job. Do I really have to fawn over her? Caroline scoffed disdainfully. At my signal, the assistant opened the door, and the mother-daughter duo from the Davis family walked in together. But when they saw it was me, both froze in surprise. Sarah, how could it be you? Especially Caroline, who was staring at me wide-eyed, her gaze fixed on me. Why is it you? It shouldn't be you. You're just a kept. Before she could finish her sentence, Mrs. Davis had already tightly grasped her hand, signaling her to stop talking. Sarah, I never expected you to be so impressive, becoming a partner at a Red Circle law firm at such a young age. You really must help Caroline with this matter. I asked them to sit down and explain the specifics. As soon as Caroline took her seat, she started listing demands. First, we must win the lawsuit, but we can't make things too ugly with Frank. Second, you need to help me craft a response that makes everyone think Frank and I have a very special relationship. No wonder none of my colleagues wanted to take this case. The demands are so high. So you're not his wife, yet you're throwing yourself at him. No wonder you got sued. Hearing this, Caroline slammed the table and stood up in anger. This is my business. Stay out of it. You took the money. Now do your job. Mrs. Davis beside her watched but ultimately didn't intervene, instead murmuring softly, Caroline is still young and doesn't know any better. Those words suddenly stirred up memories in me. Many years ago, I lay in a hospital bed, the wound in my abdomen keeping me awake all night. A noble woman said the same thing when she came to visit me. Just children's petty squabbles. My child doesn't know any better. Don't take it to heart. A mother will say anything to protect her child. I watched the two of them coldly and couldn't help but chuckle lightly. Why should I help you? I wanted Caroline to go to hell more than anyone else. I drove the mother and daughter of the Davis family away. Before leaving, Caroline was still shouting, asking me what I was being so arrogant about. Mrs. Davis also frowned at me. Sarah, your indifference really breaks my mother's heart. I couldn't care less about their feelings and simply kicked them out. The online buzz about Caroline's affairs was overwhelming. Soon, more scandals about her were exposed. For instance, drunk driving resulting in someone's disability. After paying compensation, Caroline went abroad to enjoy herself without facing any punishment, such as slapping another female model backstage at a fashion show. There were also incidents like bullying female classmates during high school and overturning an elderly woman's stall set up at the school gate. Caroline became an internet sensation overnight, while the Davis family's stocks plummeted dramatically. Whether it was her personal social media accounts or the official accounts of the Davis family business, the comments sections were flooded with criticism. The Davis family also tried to contact Frank, hoping to settle the matter privately, but why would Frank agree, with them waiting outside his company building every day? Frank couldn't be bothered to deal with the hassle and simply came to my law firm instead. What a lunatic, can't even keep an eye on their own daughter, and still has the nerve to ask me to settle privately. Frank leaned against me, playing with my hair, and couldn't resist making a few sarcastic remarks. Every extra word I say to someone like that feels like a waste of my time. He leaned in, his cold face pressing against mine, his breath brushing my skin, sending shivers down my spine. I sent our son to my parents' place today, so we can go home early. He lowered his voice, softly coaxing me. Just as his lips were about to touch mine, a commotion erupted outside the door. I'm sorry, miss, but you really can't go in. Step aside. No one has ever been able to stop me from going where I want. Sarah, you better come out. The office door was pushed open, and even though Frank and I quickly separated, our tightly clasped hands still gave us away. Why? She froze at first, standing rigidly in place, staring intently at us. How could you be together? Can't you tell? We're married. As he spoke, Frank extended our clasped hands, the matching rings on our ring fingers emitting a faint, cool glow. How is this possible? How could he be your husband? No way. Weren't you supposed to marry some penniless guy? I stood up and walked over to Caroline, looking her up and down. The next second, my slap landed directly on her. Caroline, it seems even with my life, you haven't done much better. Huh? Caroline practically fled in panic, even tripping and falling as she ran out of the office. Before anyone could reach out to help her, she had already screamed, gotten up, and rushed out. That evening, Mrs. Davis contacted me using someone else's phone, hoping to sit down for a meal together. I never expected Sarah to be with Mr. Frank. You really should have told Mom and Dad earlier. Let's have dinner together tonight. The whole family sitting down for a good talk. Her tone was gentler than ever before, softer than any time I'd seen her. She didn't bring up the incident where Caroline and I got physical, and even said we were family, just because Frank is my husband. How interesting. We arranged to meet at a restaurant, and I went as agreed. Seeing me and Frank walk into the private room together, the Davis couple smiled very happily. Even after using ice to reduce the swelling, Caroline's left cheek remained noticeably swollen, but at this moment, no one cared about her face. Mrs. Davis took my hand and questioned me with concern about what had happened over the years. How did you end up with Frank? And how did you become a partner at the law firm? You really haven't disappointed your mother. I'm so proud. With a cold expression, I pulled my hand away directly. Caroline acts like a fool, yet you still treat her as your own daughter. Why is it that when it comes to me, I have to give so much just to make you proud? The atmosphere instantly froze, and Mrs. Davis's smile stiffened on her face. Do you think Mom is being unfair? She gave me an awkward smile, and seeing that I remained silent, she immediately switched to a tearful expression. You're my child. How could I be unfair? Back then, to give birth to you, I endured pain for a full day and night, and in the end, I was left with a scar on my stomach. The hardships of carrying you for 10 months, I bore them all. You're a mother yourself. How could you not understand my suffering? She spoke with tears in her eyes, gripping my hand and making me touch the scar on her belly through her clothes. I immediately withdrew my hand and lifted the hem of my shirt, revealing an equally gruesome wound on my own stomach. It was your daughter who did this. At these words, everyone in the Davis family gasped, as if recalling something. Mrs. Davis's expression turned grim. At that time, you came to the hospital to see me. What was it you said again? I put down the clothes, recalling the scene from back then. You said, Caroline is my only daughter, young and naive. If she makes a mistake, the whole family will spare no effort to help her. If you still want to live in this city, accept a private settlement and drop the matter. Otherwise, I took a step forward, staring intently at Mrs. Davis's face, mimicking her expression from that time. Otherwise, I'll make your life a living hell. Caroline, sitting nearby, was completely stunned, staring at me dumbfounded. I found a seat and sat down, scanning the room and observing the varied expressions of the 3 Davis family members. Don't remember me? Well, my name was Sun back then, after being taken away by the nanny of the Davis family at the time, who was Caroline's mother. I was sold to a rural couple. The couple had their fortune told and were told they must adopt a daughter in order to have a son, so they got me. And this humiliating name, they just want a son. Sure enough, a son soon arrived. I've never felt maternal love in my memory. Books say that mothers are like the ocean, embracing us. Fathers are like mountains, protecting us. I've never experienced it, but I've seen it when they cared for my younger brother. They weren't particularly good or bad to me, but ever since I understood things, they told me I was bought and brought here. We're not your real parents. Don't expect us to treat you well. You're lucky to have food to eat. Blame your bad luck if you must. A child without an umbrella has no choice but to run desperately in the rain. I studied day and night just to get into a mediocre high school in our city. That year, I met Caroline. She had very poor grades, and it was only because the Davis family donated a lot of money to the school that she was admitted. I lamented the unfairness of fate. The place I struggled desperately to reach, others arrived at effortlessly. That year, I also met Grandma Monica. She was the grandma who sold pancakes at the school gate. Slightly disabled and unable to speak clearly, we originally had little interaction, but because I worked part-time at a nearby restaurant every day, one day she suddenly gave me a pancake. Eat, eat. She looked at me, mumbling unclear words while gesturing, and finally made me understand what she meant. This pancake was for me to eat. Caroline, do you remember this Grandma Monica? I looked at Caroline and saw her face had turned as pale as a sheet of paper. The grandma you called a mute old woman, the one whose stall you overturned. After starting high school, my adoptive parents completely stopped caring for me, and I worked part-time near the school every day. Grandma Monica often saved food for me, and over time we gradually became close. She also had 2 grandchildren who were studying in other cities, due to her poor health and inability to take long-distance buses. She stayed in town running a small business. Our relationship grew stronger, and for the first time, I experienced the warmth of family affection. Every day, she would save a pancake for me, ensuring I could eat as soon as I got out of school. Until that day when I left the school gate, I found Grandma Monica's stall had been overturned, with several women surrounding and hurling insults at her. All because a stray cat that Grandma Monica fed had dirted Caroline's expensive leather shoes. They threw the ingredients Grandma Monica had prepared all night onto her, and Caroline poured a bucket of batter directly onto Grandma's face. Grandma was so flustered she kept apologizing, but her words were slurred and unclear. I rushed forward to drive everyone away, and from that day on, Caroline and I became sworn enemies. She took the lead in isolating me, often insulted me behind my back, and even locked me in the bathroom. I could endure all of that, but that day in the bathroom, I heard her say she would contact some local troublemakers to vandalize Monica's grandmother's stall again. I couldn't accept it, and we got into a fight. During the struggle, Caroline pulled out a butterfly knife from her pocket. Bitch, you need to be taught a lesson. The knife plunged into my body. I got 18 stitches and reported the incident to the police from my hospital bed. Mrs. Davis came to handle the matter for Caroline. A well-dressed lady in designer clothes handed me a sum of money right away. Let's settle this privately. Caroline is my only daughter. She's young and doesn't know any better. If she makes a mistake, our family will spare no effort to help her. If you still want to live in this city, accept the private settlement and drop the matter. I'll give that old woman some money too. You're in your final year of high school. Just focus on your studies. I didn't want the money. All I wanted was justice. But Grandma Monica looked at my wound and couldn't stop her tears. She held my hand and murmured for a long time, and in the end, I could only make out a few words. School, Sarah, school. She wanted me to continue my education and not give up this opportunity. A child without an umbrella has no choice but to run faster, to keep running down the same path until the end. I accepted the settlement and signed the reconciliation agreement. Caroline went abroad to study directly. And this matter was forgotten by everyone. As soon as I turned 18, I changed my name myself. I took Grandma Monica's surname. If possible, I'd like to be her child too. Do you like this story? Your daughter almost stabbed your other daughter to death. The entire private room fell into silence, and Mrs. Davis remained speechless for a long time. Only Frank held my hand tightly. Actually, from the beginning, I had an ulterior motive when approaching Frank. His family was wealthy and influential. If I could get close to him, maybe I wouldn't be bullied during my college life. But fortunately, in college, I met great roommates, a responsible counselor, and the love of my life. Both Frank and I fell in love with each other. He promised to help me gather information about the Davis family over the years, but I never expected to uncover that they had a child swapped many years ago. The world is truly small. On the day I learned the truth, I leaned over the toilet, nauseated and vomiting uncontrollably. By the end, my vision was blurred by tears. The person I was so desperate to find turned out to be the one who hurt me the most, so after recognizing each other, I never considered you as family. You disgust me. I took Frank's hand and prepared to leave. Just as my hand touched the doorknob, Mrs. Davis's voice came from behind. Sarah, we're the ones who wronged you, but we still hope you can let it go. Let it go. How easy it is to say. Why should I let go of the pain they caused me? If I were to let it go, I wouldn't have done so much. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, it was me who spread the news that Caroline wasn't of the Davis bloodline, and all her later scandals were released by me too. I hate Caroline. I hate Mrs. Davis. I hate everyone in the Davis family. Naturally, I won't let them live happily. But after leaving the restaurant, when the cold wind hit my face, I still felt heartbroken. even though just moments ago. All the truth was revealed. At the last moment, Mrs. Davis still hoped for reconciliation between me and Caroline, no guilt toward me, no sense that Caroline was out of control. She still stood by her side, as I descended the steps. My legs gave way, and I nearly fell, but fortunately, Frank caught me in time. Sarah, you're not alone, you have me, and you have us, Mommy. Just as Frank finished speaking, our son's voice came from not far away. He was holding a huge bouquet of flowers, which blocked his view, so he had to tilt his head to look at me, appearing both funny and adorable. Candles were lit around him, arranged in the shape of a heart, and within that heart stood many people, Frank's parents. Grandma Monica from the nursing home, my closest friend from college, and my longtime colleagues from the law firm. Frank held my hand tightly, his voice whispering in my ear, "Tonight is indeed a dinner with family, we are all your family." Tears streamed down my face as I couldn't help but run quickly towards them. I suddenly realized, without even noticing, there were already so many people by my side. Grandma Monica held my hand and wiped away my tears. "Sarah, I'll help you, don't cry." Standing nearby was Grandma Monica's granddaughter, who had just returned from abroad. "My grandmother insisted on helping you. These days, she's been practicing speaking." Monica's grandmother shared her past experiences, which were then posted online by her granddaughter. The video caused a huge uproar as soon as it was released. Countless people condemned Caroline, and even those who had been bullied by her in the past joined forces to take her to court, ready to expose her crimes. Mrs. Davis came to see me a few times, but later stopped coming because she was overwhelmed with other commitments. The image the Davis family had maintained for years collapsed instantly because of Caroline. Investors fled, and the funding chain broke. This time, Caroline couldn't rely on her parents to clean up her mess. Her crimes were exposed. The day the police took her away, I saw everything clearly from not far away, just as I was about to leave. The Davis couple rushed out and grabbed my hand tightly. "Now that Caroline has been taken away, are you satisfied? Come back, Sarah. I heard the Davis family is on the brink of bankruptcy, and all their properties have been seized. They have lost their former glory," looking at me in tattered clothes, begging for my forgiveness. "It's just a pity that I no longer forgive them. You are not my family." I looked up and saw a car parked not far away, with Frank and his son inside. Gazing at me from a distance, "My family is already waiting for me. As for them, what's it to me?" After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward